Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, Yankee fans have been in pain. This team has been lacking offense. People not sure, what the front office is going to do, losing faith in Cashman. And then Cashman pulls out some blockbuster deals. Two major stars added to the team, Joey Gallo from Texas, and right after that, soon after, Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs. Two left-handed power hitters, exactly what the Yankees needed. And we'll break down each of these deals, but, just for the Yankees in their current situation, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. And in the conditions, yes, the Yankees had to give up some prospects, which you never know who those players are going to turn out. But overall, these really good deals for the Yankees. Didn't really have to give up any of their A-lister type prospects. And pretty much the Cubs and the Rangers assuming most of the money here. So really for the Yankees, it's getting two major players. One case with Rizzo, probably just going to be a rental for a few months. Gallo, he's going to go into arbitration, which we'll get into. So you might just be stuck with him for one more year and see what the arbitrators settle on his salary. But overall, two major deals for the Yankees and two really home runs for Cashman. So we'll get into the first major piece, Joey Gallo from the Texas Rangers. Now, there's been a rumor circling around him, going weeks back, and a lot of Yankee fans are debating back and forth. Do we want this guy? Do we not want this guy? Similar to like a lot of the Yankees players, players the Yankees have now in terms of just the only difference is left-handed in terms of low batting average, but a lot of home runs and a lot of walks, but not much contact usually. So it's like, do we really want another guy like that in here? We have a whole lineup of those type of guys. But this does make sense for the Yankees. I mean, just from the perspective of just the Yankees, other than Brett Gardner, really had no left-handed bats, and even Tyler Wade for when he was around. I mean, really no left-handed power. So they desperately need him. Makes sense. Now, he's gonna get your strikeouts, this guy, but he's also gonna hit home runs, and especially at Yankee Stadium should be a good launching pad for him. And for the deal itself, again, Texas is going to pick up the rest of the money from this year. Now next year he goes into arbitration eligibility, so it depends what his final numbers are. But the Yankees are already going to pay a boatload for him, and then of course after that he hits free agency, and the Yankees just can say bye bye. And Gallo's a good player both ways. I mean, he's won a Gold Glove before. He's been an All-Star. So he's a quality type player. I wouldn't put him as a superstar, but you're definitely adding a great name to the team and some flexibility. I mean, at least right now, according to Boone, seems like they're focusing with him to be in the outfield, which is going to be a little crowded right there. But he also can play first base if need be in a pinch, a little third as well. But for the most part, just from me here, from Boone, it sounds like more to try to have him in the outfield. So you probably have a situation where Judge will be in the right, Gallo probably in left, and then Brett Gardner probably more often than not will be in center field. They even joked and toyed around with Judge going to center field, which he has done in the past a few times for the Yankees. But I just don't think the Yankees want him running out there and tearing a quad. So probably just see Gardner get the most playing time, and then maybe it's a situation where Greg Allen gets sent down. So Gallo really fills that void, which again the Yankees have been looking for all season. And in terms of what this means moving forward, maybe some of the other Yankee players, such as like Andujar, who's always floating around like that. The Yankees try to him out in left field, but hey, this is crunch time. The Yankees need bodies out there, and again, Gallo's the first major piece and a great pickup for Cashman. Now, included in the Gallo deal, the Yankees get reliever Joely Rodriguez. Now, the deal took a little while to really, finally get confirmed. There was a little back and forth. The Yankees, first it was going to be 4 prospects, then it was going to be 6 prospects. And then possibly the Yankees were looking at one of the other Texas relievers, John King, who the Yankees had a little more interest in. But then the word is that King's shoulder wasn't that healthy. So then the Yankees said, all right, we'll go with Joely Rodriguez. So he joins the team. And, of course, there's a spot open up on the roster for him. Before even this move went down, the Yankees did ship out a couple of players. Namely, one of them was Justin Wilson, who was in the Yankees' pen as one of their lefties. Again, this was the second time around with the Yankees. It wasn't that good. And it's been hurt all season. And, of course, you remember that one game against Detroit. It was the opening night. The Yankees take a 2-1 lead in the 9th inning. Great. And then Wilson serves up a 2-run home run. The Yankees lose the game. That's like really been his Yankee moment for the whole season. So he's gone. They shipped him out of there. The Yankees also had to clear roster space by shipping out Luis Sessa, who for years the Yankees were trying him out as a starter, never really panned out. Always had a power arm. Always get hit 99 triple digits, but never really worked out as a starter. But when the Yankees had him in as a reliever, kind of found his way finally as a kind of a long man. Maybe once in a while he kind of come in for an inning. And last 2 seasons was rather good for the Yankees, but again, just sweeten the pot. I guess they had to add him as well. So Wilson and Sessa they were shipped out to the Cincinnati Reds just to make room. And then that was kind of the precursor that you knew a move was going to go down. I know the show was going to be Gallo, but you knew it was something that comes around the corner. So that's where you have Rodriguez now could take Wilson's spot on the roster, and of course, it made room as well, to bring in Gallo. Now the Gallo thing wasn't a super shocker because again there were some rumors flying around for several weeks beforehand, but what no one saw coming around the corner was the rabbit Cashman pulled out of his hat with Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs. Great deal for the Yankees. Now this is a multi-time Gold Glover at first base, a true first baseman, something the Yankees haven't had in quite some time. All-star caliber player, and again was part of the 2016 championship Cubs team. So yeah, has a little championship experience pedigree with him that the Yankees could definitely use if they get into the postseason. And most importantly, a left-handed power bat that again the Yankees desperately need. And it's just amazing how the Yankees almost instantly fixed that need within almost like 48 hours of each other. First Gallo, boom, and then shortly after that, a day and a half later, then boom, Rizzo comes into the door. And for the Yankees with Rizzo, it's a great deal. They just had to give up 2 minor league prospects. Again, nothing top rated. That's going to be oh wow. Now 10 years from now they turn out to be all-stars. Who knows? But at least in terms of this deal, good deal for the Yankees. And Rizzo himself, he signed through 2021. So after that, he's going to be a free agent, and the Yankees could just say goodbye. They're not committed to him long term. And with Gallo and Rizzo, it almost similarly kind of reminds me of when the Yankees got David Justice back in 2000, where, the Yankee 2000 team was, was a championship team, but didn't get up to the greatest start. It seemed a little lethargic and kind of searching for themselves, similar to this 2021 team that we see. And then once they added Justice, they kind of sparked the team, and everyone got better, and they kind of got a good roll towards the end of that year. And so this could be a similar situation with Gallo and Rizzo, just, joining the lineup, and then there with the likes of Judge and Stanton, who's had a weird year, and Gleyber and Gary Sanchez and DJ, and you just look at his lineup like, wow, how great this could be. And as they say, rising tides lift all ships. So now that Rizzo's in town, what does that mean for Luke Voit, who was the Yankee first baseman before that? Now with Voit, he was never a true first baseman. He was kind of there by default because really where else are you going to put the guy? Obviously he's not going to be an outfielder. He can't catch. You're not going to put him at shortstop. And Stanton, usually pretty much has that DH spot on lockdown. So, probably the writing's on the wall with Voit, and it's kind of bad. And funny enough, ironically, last season he was the home run king of baseball just because of the shortened season with COVID. But nevertheless, this season was not good for Voit at all. He got off to the late start again, had the spring training surgery. And then, so he got a late start, came back, and just problems after problems, obliques and a foot issue and that, and just never really, got off the launch pad for this season. And kind of similar to Gallo before, the Yankees need active, good bodies in there playing games because, again, you're pretty much a little over the halfway point of the season. Like, you got to win games here. Again, they have a deficit to Boston. It's not insurmountable, but you got to have a good lineup there scoring runs. And with Voit, he's just not in there anymore. So a couple things could happen to him, kind of could be trade bait. Maybe the Yankees could put him on a waiver wire. Maybe someone claims him. I don't think you can have a guy like that just sitting on a bench for nothing because he's not like he's not like a pinch runner type or someone you put in for late inning defense. And with Rizzo, you don't bring a guy like that in here just to share time. So that's going to be Rizzo's job. And plus, again, he's a much better first baseman than Voit. So the Yankees definitely upgrade there. And again, for Voit, kind of a tough situation. He's a good guy. Seems like the team likes him, but just really, you got to win games, and there's no room for him. Now, it's somewhat surprising that the Yankees made moves in a way just because, the Yankees been having a deficit to Boston, and it was whether, they're going to go for it and be sellers. Didn't seem like they'd be in sellers, but didn't figure they're going to go this big for it, but they did. Now, the reason being is that, the most recent matchups with Boston, now it's been mostly dominated by Boston, but a lot of these games really were close. So they Cashman probably figured, hey, look, if we could just get 1 or 2 more players and just score a couple of more runs, we could win a bunch of those games. And there's still, enough games for the Yankees, play Boston as well as Tampa, as well as beat up on a team like Baltimore. So if you have a super lineup here, it does give the Yankees the opportunity. Now, let's just say the Yankees just got devastated by Boston like they were earlier this season. Then it's probably situations like, hey, look, we're not going to catch these guys, and let's just settle down. If we make the playoffs, we make playoffs. If we don't, we don't. So I think they just took that as a sign is that even though they did lose a majority of those games to Boston, most recently, especially on the recent trip to Fenway, where the Yankees had 3 heartbreaking losses, especially the one with Domingo Germán, again taking a no-hitter in the 8th inning, and you lose that game, you blow a 4-0 lead. It's just The Yankees have losses that you can't even imagine. So I just think the thinking over the front office and with Cashman is like, we're right there. We could be better than this team, so let's just add a few pieces. So that's likely why the reason they figured, let's just go in and go all for it. Now, as we previously mentioned in a previous episode, the Yankees lost Darren O'Day. Again, he was going to be their right-handed specialist out of the bullpen. They had to shut him down for the year. It looks like he was never going to return. So the Yankees do make a move with the Pittsburgh Pirates, bring in Clay Holmes. Pretty decent season for him. So he definitely probably would have been what they would have been for the Yankees. So he's added to the bullpen just to bolster it up a little bit because you can see some situations where like Chad Green, like up in Fenway, he had some struggles up there. So it could be possibly gassed, but he's been used a lot. So Holmes, again, a good quality arm. Again, I'm not gonna put him up there like he'd be like an eighth inning guy. That's Britton's job is Britton is finally back with the team, but a good quality arm just to add to the bullpen. And it's just funny how one day you go from a hero to a villain. Now Cashman, he was taking his punches for the past couple of months with this team. Say, look, this was your team, this was your roster. What are you doing with it? Maybe it's time to move on. Maybe get a fresh pair of eyes here. And then Cashman pulls out these two blockbusters. And now all of a sudden everyone loves him. And again, the money part with this is that the Yankees stay under the luxury tax, which is the goal with Hal Steinbrenner. So for all the people out there, they're always like, well, the Yankees just buy players, and Cashman, he just buys free agents and stuff like that. No, he does make a lot of crafty moves. And again, the Yankees had to part with a lot of prospects. They're bringing these two major players in Gallo and Rizzo, but it's really on the cheap, and they stay under the luxury tax, so it kind of fulfills Hal's goals there. And for Cashman, putting a roster together, you just added two awesome players to a really what should be an awesome lineup, just not really clicking and not scoring enough. So, perhaps these two left-handed bats now balance them out a little bit. So instead of just having righty, 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 you could have a righty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty. Just switch it up, makes it tougher on the opposing pitcher, on the opposing manager. Manager has to burn more of the bullpen arms for the matchup. So again, kudos for Cashman on this one. Now, if it turns out the Yankees don't make the playoffs with all these, with the roster they already have, plus adding Gallo and Rizzo, that's a bad look on Cashman, and maybe that's the point where he's finally shown the door. But just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case just based on the comments Hal had a couple of weeks ago that he has faith in everybody. Again, those could be just words, but at this point, really, there's plenty of baseball left, and if you can't make the playoffs with this lineup now, there's no other answer. And almost good as making a trade is getting a whole boatload of players back that the Yankees lost due to COVID protocol. And it only seems to affect the New York Yankees. And again, I'm really suspicious that the Red Sox sent a package or something to the Yankee clubhouse, because only the Yankees always get wiped out like this. But the latest round of players returning, of course, highlighted by Aaron Judge, Gio Urshela, Jonathan Loaizaga, Higgy behind the plate, which I'm sure Garrett Cole is really happy to hear about that, as well as Nestor Cortez, who's become now a fan favorite for the Yankees. He kind of does these spot starts, or when they have like a reliever day like that. Nestor Cortez seems to thrive in those situations. Again, pitched that that great game the first night in Houston, and he's just become a fan favorite. And he just throws slow junk and slow. So it just proves that you don't have to throw 99 and through the back of the wall there. So the Yankees get all those players back, and again with the addition of Rizzo and Gallo, now have a much more formidable lineup, and just gotta hope no one gets COVID anymore. And I know it's a broken record, but Luis Severino is slowly working his way back. Again, missed the start of the season with the Tommy John surgery, then was rehabbing, then has the groin pull, so they had to shut him down for a while. But did throw when the Yankees were at Fenway, as well as when the Yankees were at Tropicana Field. So it's getting his way back. They kind of want to build his endurance up where he could at least go 5 innings. So again, we said this a million times, and he was supposed to be back already. But the Yankees are estimating sometime in August or September. Probably going to be later August, just the way it is, because they hype you up, say, oh, he's going to be back June, July, and it's just not going to be around there. So it's going to be a situation where he and then Kluber, you're probably looking about more September is going to be probably the more realistic of getting those two back in there. And if you add that with Cole, Herman's been good, Monty's been good, he just gets no run support. The Yankees have formidable pitching staff there, and bullpen, which again was always has been the Yankees' strength for the past 2 seasons, and was for the beginning of this season. But since June, they've had the second highest ERA in baseball. A lot has to do with Chapman, who just had a handful of meltdowns, and it's kind of mysterious what's going on with him. Been a little better as of late, and again, we don't know really what the issue was, but getting the velocity up there, 101, clocked at 103 a couple of times. That's kind of the Chapman we used to seeing. Still not fully back yet, where you'll feel confident as you maybe did back in, May or June. But at least finding his way a little bit, and it kind of takes the pressure, off Green a little bit because they were putting Green in there to close a little bit. And again, getting Loizaga back from the COVID protocol helps as well because, Loizaga, again, has had a bit of a gutsy season, using him in the 8th inning as well as closing a couple times when they needed to be. So again, that kind of takes the pressure off Chapman so he could just slowly round back into form to being the caliber of closer that we know he can be. And if the Yankees wanted to compete in the AL East, they kind of had to make some moves because Tampa, who's so far has been a little better than the Yankees this season, made a huge splash by bringing in Nelson Cruz. And this is very rare for the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, they usually don't bring in big name players like that. Usually this is a case of they just develop their own players or they just make these small trades and then that player ends up taking off. But Cruz already big name, an ageless wonder, has been around forever. But again, wherever he goes, he hits. And Minnesota at this point is just tearing it all down because they just had a miserable season. And so, that's exactly what he needed. Again, the Rays were really, almost the opposite problem the Yankees had. The Yankees were two right-handed, so they needed the left-handers in Gallo and Rizzo. Tampa's the other way around. There were two left-handed, so they needed a right-handed like Nelson Cruz. And, the Yankees had to react to that. They couldn't stand pat because Cruz just, you add him to a lineup that's very good already. It's going to make them that much better. So it was important for the Yankees, to bring in Gallo and Rizzo to sort of, combat those moves, that move at least by Tampa. And just when you thought Cashman was done, he had one last deal to get in through the back door, and that was to bring in starter Andrew Heaney from the Angels. Made a trade with two prospects, again, two no-name prospects. And for Heaney himself, not really impressive at the time the Yankees got him, his record of 6-7, and for his career, has been a few games under 500. But what the Yankees probably do like about him is his 113 strikeouts in only 94 innings at the time the Yankees got him. So it seems like he is able to strike out a lot of players, which is good, but unfortunately his high ERA of 5.27 isn't that impressive. Could be some situation deal with either Sevy or Kluber to kind of an insurance policy, but again, it doesn't hurt to have another lefty in the rotation. One name that will not be coming to the Bronx is Matt Scherzer. Now, again, there was some rumors about him come to the Yankees, again, from the Nationals, so kind of just tearing it all down at this point. But it just didn't seem like that was just realistic for a couple of reasons. Again, he's making a boatload of money, and you're already paying a boatload of money to Garrett Cole. Plus, you got money invested in someone like Corey Kluber, who at least it seems like he's on track to come back in September. So I didn't think that the Scherzer thing would ever happen. And it's fine. It's good. Let him go out there. If he would have went to Boston or something like that probably would have been devastating for the Yankees. But no, he's gone. He's out in the West Coast to the Dodgers. So good for the news for the Yankees. Let him have success out there, and you almost pray that if you see him in the World Series, great, you made the World Series. But other than that, no Scherzer to the Bronx. So with the 2021 deadline behind us, let's go back and have a little bit of fun. So I figured let's look back at recent Yankee history, and I'm going to give you my top 5 most impactful Yankee in-season deals. So how they weigh this in is not the player himself, but maybe what happened after it in terms of how that player contributed, whether it was a playoff run or doing something great in the World Series. So to start us off with, number 5. We're going to start off with a reliever, actually. Graeme Lloyd, the Aussie from Down Under. Now, the Yankees picked him up in 1996. It was actually a four-player deal. So Yankees got Lloyd and Pat Listash from the Milwaukee Brewers, and then the Yankees sent out Gerald Williams as well as Bob Wickman to the Brewers, and that was kind of the trade. Now, really the centerpiece for the Yankees, of course, was getting Graeme Lloyd, and Listash, didn't stay on with the team much longer and wasn't really that much of an impact, but Lloyd was. Now, funny enough, it really wasn't during the regular season that much. It's just he really maybe came to the stage, as you would say, is during the 1996 World Series, going 2.2 innings, giving up no runs as well as no hits. And really he was used as a weapon to neutralize those big lefty bats of the Braves, both Fred McGriff and Ryan Klesko. And that's kind of where Lloyd really took the stage. And again, he was just nasty against them. They really had no shot. And really, again, Graeme Lloyd, again, the tail end of the 96 season he had with the Yankees, not that really great, but there's no way the Yankees win the 1996 World Series without Graeme Lloyd. Again, he didn't contribute, a ton of innings, but when he was in there, he was pretty much untouchable against those big lefty bats for the Braves. And Lloyd himself, he stayed with the Yankees for a couple of seasons, became, kind of part of the cohesive, one of the best bullpen runs you'll see. It included Mendoza, Stanton, Nelson, of course, Mariano Rivera, which, again, gave the Yankees that invincibility where, you just didn't have a shot against them. And as for Lloyd himself, He did end up getting shipped out in that deal that brought Roger Clemens in. It was Lloyd and Wells going up to Toronto, and of course the Yankees getting back Roger Clemens. So, and then shortly after that deal happened, actually Lloyd started having some injuries up there in Toronto, and it's kind of never the same play. So the Yankees kind of lucked out, just kind of getting the best of him. And then when the time he did need surgery, well, he was already shipped out of town. So number 4, we're going to go with Ruben Sierra. But his first go-around with the Yankees in 1995, yes, he, as you may recall, he did come back again in 2003. But in 95, instrumental for the Yankees for that offense to get them into the playoffs, the wild card, again, for the first time in 14 seasons. And Sierra, now the Yankees got him via a trade with Danny Tartabull. Again, the Yankees had Tartabull for 2 seasons, and he put up a decent number, power numbers-wise, but unfortunately, 95 struggled mightily. Supposedly behind the scenes had problems with Steinbrenner. So the Yankees shipped him out to Oakland, getting Ruben Sierra back in return. And Sierra kind of just jump-started the offense a little bit, became a fan favorite of the bleacher creatures. And, of course, in the ALDS against Seattle, Game 1 hits a home run, even though the Yankees kind of had the game well in hand. But, of course, was part of the back-to-back home runs in Game 2 with Don Madden. Again, first Sierra hit his home run, and then right after Donnie Baseball hit his home run, again, his first postseason and only postseason home run, and the place just exploded. And I'm sure you remember those images of beers flying over the place. And Sierra, kind of unfortunate for him because in 96, he ends up getting shipped out for Cecil Field, and then Cecil Field becomes part of the 96 Yankee championship team, so kind of Sierra missed out on that. But again, Sierra did return again in 2003, hit a monster home run. 2004, again, the Yankees were losing the 8th inning by 3 runs. Hit a 3-run home run in Minnesota, Game 4 against Minnesota and against Ronald Cone. Ties the game up, and again, the Yankees go on to win that game outright, and then they move on against the ALCS against Boston. Unfortunately, we know what happened there. So Sierra kind of got shafted a little bit. He got traded away just before the Yankee dynasty started, and then he came back in later years. And even though, he was part of the 2003 team that went to face the Marlins in the World Series, never got that championship ring with the Yankees. So kind of unfortunate way, but a good switch hitter with power, and again a fan favorite. And he kind of became like a pinch hitter extraordinaire. Like he would just come off the bench like and just hit a home run. So good Yankee, a solid Yankee, but again got a little shafted a little bit. Never able to really get a ring at the right time. Number 3, Bobby Abreu. Bobby Abreu. Now, the Yankees got him in 2006. Actually, they picked up both Abreu and the Phillies sent Corey Lytle as well. And unfortunately, Corey Lytle, he unfortunately manned a plane and crashed into a building in Manhattan, but, in a very sad situation. But we'll focus on Bobby Abreu for this one. So, Abreu came to the Yankees from the Phillies and just, got ideal number 3 hitter, great eye at the plate, and he gave a lethal lineup, made it even that more powerful. It's a lineup that included, like, Damon, Jeter. Now you got Bobby Abreu, A-Rod, Sheffield, Giambi, Matsui, Posada, Cano. I mean, the Yankee offense was just lethal at that point. I remember there was like a 5-game series up in Fenway, and the Yankees just destroyed them for 5 games. So Abreu had a great impact on the team. He's again made that offense just unstoppable. They used to call it. I think Joe Morgan from ESPN used to nickname it 8 All-Stars plus Cano, and of course Cano was a phenomenal player too at the time. But unfortunately, even though the offense was great during the Abreu tenure there, the pitching wasn't. And unfortunately, the Yankees got bounced out by Detroit. Again, just didn't have the pitching. And then, I know the Yankees had Randy Johnson. He just wasn't the same Randy Johnson as old. So even though they had a prolific offense, just due to the lack of starting pitching, weren't really able to get the next step. And it always seemed like, again, Detroit, was the thorn in the side in 06 and in 07. Again, the Yankees got eliminated by the Cleveland Indians. But again, a great trade for the Yankees. They just gave 2 prospects that really turned out to be nothing. And they got a bona fide all-star type, almost like a Paul O'Neill type of player, right fielder, ideal number 3 hitter. So again, number 3, Bobby Abreu. Now, as for both 1 and 2, you can almost juggle these ones. They're very close. I just think because the number 1 is maybe has to do more with tenure and number of championships. He got by staying with the Yankees for a while, so that's probably why number 1's number 1. And then number 2 is David Justice. Now, the Yankees got him in 2000, and at the time, the team was kind of floundering a little bit, did not get off to a great start, and kind of hear some whispers, is this the end of the championship team? Are these guys getting old? Brocious is getting up there in years, Tino's getting up there in years, O'Neill's getting up there in years, Bernie's getting up there in years, is this the end of it? So, it's kind of a weird time, and you figure the Yankees were still good, but they was still not really playing up to the potential, similar to what we got this year until, hopefully Rizzo and Gallo could produce this, the same boost that David Justice did. And he's kind of, the whole team, once Justice joined the team, just kind of took off. And Justice contributed to 20 home runs as a New York Yankee and just kind of ignited the whole team. Yeah, they struggled a little bit in that September of 2000, but I think they kind of had it wrapped up pretty early in September that they kind of went into coastal mode. And for Justice himself, had one big, huge moment, Game 6, American League Championship Series against Seattle. Hits a bomb home run off of Arthur Rhodes, and that sealed the win for the Yankees and sent them to the World Series against the Mets. And just a huge home run for the Yankees, and of course the Yankees would go on to win the World Series. So they get Justice. He contributes some big numbers, and they go on to win the World Series. Now Justice was also there in 2001, but unfortunately, this didn't really have that big Arthur Rhodes type of moment, and of course the Yankees went down in Game 7 to the Diamondbacks. But for number 2, I gotta say, someone like Justice to come in and just again crank out 20 home runs and kind of uplift the team, he's well deserving of my number 2. And that leaves us with number 1, which is your ace. What the Yankees needed in 1995 when they made the trade for David Cone. Now again, you can kind of juggle a bit what's more valuable, an ace David Cone or someone like David Justice in 2000 hitting 20 home runs and of course hitting a monster home run in the playoffs. But it's got to be David Cone just because he stayed with the Yankees for a number of years, part of that championship Tory dynasty. And in 95, the Yankees needed an ace. Again, it should have been Jimmy Key, but of course he missed the season with off-season surgery that basically took him out for the whole year. So he was done. And the Yankees had some nice young pitchers like a young Andy Petty coming up, but again, at the time he wasn't fully developed and kind of a 500 pitches. The Yankees needed that ace, and they got it in a trade with Toronto for 3 prospects that turned out to be nothing. And Cone was fabulous for the Yankees, like Ruben Sierra, helping get them into the playoffs, getting the franchise into the playoffs for the first time in 14 seasons. Of course, the wild card bracket helped a little bit as well, but nevertheless, very impactful. And of course, pitched that Game 5, that heartbreaking game in Seattle, Game 5 division series, and Cone going over 150 pitches, gutsy performance, something you'll probably never see again. And unfortunately, the Yankees lost the game, but of course, it was just a good moment for Cone. And again, Cone would miss the beginning of the 96 season with the aneurysm. People say, was it because he threw the 150 pitches? Probably not. But then in Cone's first game in 96, when he comes back, goes 7 innings in Oakland. Could have thrown a no-hitter, but Torrey had to take him out because, hey, look, it's your first game of the season. I can't burn you out in your first game. And, of course, from there on, he became the Yankees' ace, of course, especially with the 96 season, helping guide the Yankees to the championship, pitching that gutsy Game 3 in Atlanta with the Yankees down 2-0. Cone wins that game, and then the Yankees win the next 3 and win the World Series. And again, of course, Cone was around for the whole ride, 98, 99, and even 2000 when he was kind of on his last legs and really had nothing on his fastball anymore. Went into his bag of tricks to get Mike Piazza to pop up and again help Yankees to defeat the Mets, which, if the Yankees would have lost the Mets in that Subway Series, it would have been a disaster. So Cone was along for all that. And of course, now Cone, everyone loves me, he's in the Yankee Yes booth and just a foundation, but a part of the bedrock of the entire franchise. So that's my top 5. And hopefully 20 years from now, we're looking back at the 2021 season and say, hey, Rizzo and Gallo helped contribute to a championship the same way David Justice did in 2000. So you agree with me, you don't agree with me, maybe there's a trade you think I missed? Let me know. Go to the comment section down below. Type in, hey jerk, what about Jose Canseco in 2000? And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe.